Exodus, cheating, and tragedy. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard the Bubba's Daily Update. Todd Bubba Horns with you. It is Sunday, March 17th, and we are with you with our weekly edition of Bubba's Bottom Line. And of course, a lot of things going on this week in markets, a lot of things going on everywhere else. But I think obviously the couple of tragedies that we have seen this week, starting with Boeing, and of course, Monday when you came into work last week, you saw that Boeing was having some problems, and there was another unfortunate tragedy of a plane crash. And as the week went on, different countries started to not allow Boeing not only to fly there, but to not even fly over. And of course, by the end of the week, as the stock had a very volatile week, moving 40 to 50 bucks back and forth and really causing havoc in the Dow, it looks like on Friday they came out with a solve to a software problem, and that seems to be what the case is. It seems to be a software problem, not a design in the plane problem. Now we'll see. Of course, the stock did recover, but it is a terrible tragedy, and hopefully we'll learn from it and they'll fix it. Again, obviously, air travel still being by far the safest method to travel. But of course, obviously, this put a big crink in your travel plans if you were traveling or stuck. And of course, probably fairly scary to want to get into one of these 730 Maxes. But in the meantime, I am sure they will solve it, and I'm sure that they will be the safest planes in the air. But it is obviously a tragedy, the second major crash in the last few weeks. And of course, the assassination, but the murdering at the mosque in New Zealand. Again, another brutal attack. And again, these have to stop. And I think, of course, Facebook got caught with their pants down once again, allowing that video to run. I forget the exact time. It was either 17 seconds or 17 minutes, but it was totally filmed and videoed. And of course, not only is the shooting and the murders a tragedy, but the fact that Facebook allowed it to run is at least another problem. And it goes, these are things that do need to be resolved. And of course, Facebook does have some troubles. I still actually believe the stock is sound. I still own the stock, and I'm not getting out. Of course, I'm hedging it, so if it does get clocked, it's okay too. I don't mind. But at the end of the day, I think one of the things we have to remember is that markets are so efficient today that they can indeed price a lot of these things in. But I think what we're looking at now, you're starting to see a lot of exodus from a lot of these high-tax states. Now, again, it always begs the question, why is Illinois, California, New York, Connecticut, and some of the other states so overtaxed and always broke when states that don't tax are always have cash plentiful? That tells me that our politicians that represent us in these states have no idea and could care less and are more concerned with lining their own pockets and the pockets of their friends versus actually taking care of running the state or the city. And of course, obviously, we've had this in Chicago forever, which means there could be some pension problems. And certainly, we don't want to see anybody have any pension problems after you worked your whole life to put money away and take care of yourself. I think that's, to me, is another tragedy when you look at it. And of course, I think, I was listening to the news during the week, and they kept talking about Social Security as a socialism program and an entitlement. And I have to beg to differ. Now, I'm not an economist, okay? And I'm not, I have no idea, okay? But here's what I do know for a fact. I've been paying into Social Security for 45 years, okay? And I have paid the max that I have to pay for almost 40 of those 45 years. So had I taken that same money and put it into a 401k or an IRA, I would have a hell of a lot more money than I'm going to get ever out of Social Security. And I paid for it myself. So tell me why we call it an entitlement. Okay, you pay for it. You put your money in to take care of Social Security. That is obviously a law that you have to pay your Social Security payments. So why is it an entitlement? maybe I don't get it. I don't know. But I don't see it as an entitlement because I have paid for it. Okay. Now, yes, I know some people get disability, but anybody who has worked in this country has paid a portion of Social Security. And your final end benefit is based on how much money you made in your lifetime. And none of them are big, okay? There isn't like they're giving away lottery tickets, but based on just simple math, had the money just been put together and not grabbed by the government and not used by the government, we wouldn't have the problems. But of course, we know that they can't even balance their own budget and let alone, not continue to spend. Why? Because our politicians don't give a rat's ass about anybody but themselves, and they want to keep spending and spending and continue adding spending bills to continue to have this debt can go out of control, which obviously it is. Now, again, we've got so many debt problems in this country, from new cars, auto loans, to student debt, to credit card debt, to margin debt. And of course, everybody just thinks it's just going to magically go away because we have, of course, the Federal Reserve that will continue to try and print money, right? So you've got AOC saying, hey, print the $93 trillion for the new Green Deal. Are we not out of our minds here with what is going on in the entire system? Okay. Now, again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. If you or me did what they're doing, we would be either in bankruptcy court and jail. Why is it that we let them continue to get away with spending, which what they're really doing is they're redistributing, okay, your money. They're offering your money for cheaper money. Okay, the $100 bill you might have in your pocket is worth a lot less. And every time they do something, it becomes worth less again. So I say to you that it's time it stops. And of course, none of these politicians will get off their ass and say, hey, enough, because they want to get reelected. Okay, but when are we going to find that we no longer have to worry about that, which goes back to why we need to have term limits on everybody so that we don't have professional politicians that are there from birth to death. Okay, get rid of them in 2, 4, or 6 years and out, because again, they're only worried about who's going to vote for them. And right now, if you're on Social Security, which I'm almost ready for, if you're on it, okay, you're not going to vote to stop it or adjust it, which it needs to be adjusted because the retirement age needs to be higher than 65. Okay, the average living age now is almost 80. Okay, so Social Security was meant for people that live past a certain age to help them get through their retirement years. Well, we're a much healthier society. As much as they tell us how we're not healthy and we're obese, somehow through the miracle of pharmaceuticals and other things, we are living a lot longer. So we need to take care of all this and vote these people out so that we can get people that come in and say, hey, that is really a problem. We need to solve this problem, because at the end of the day, if we don't solve it, it's going to turn us into a nation of the very minute few that are taking over, because everything else will have to be done through a socialist program. Okay, they're destroying the capitalistic markets. Okay, through their printing money, through every way that they have tried to eliminate small business forever. Okay, there are so many things going on through compliance issues and through other things that it's evident that they don't want small business. They want to get rid of small business. Okay, so again, government is too big. It needs to be reduced. It needs to be revamped. We need to go back to the way that it was actually written in the original Constitution, where the guys that would come in those days it was only guys, but guys and girls that would come in, serve a few years, and go back to the private sector. And enough of the professional politicians, the Bernie Sanders of the world, who wants nothing but socialism because, of course, he owns 3 houses, and all the other far left that want to give your money away and my money away to make everything equal, okay? Which takes away anybody's drive to want to create the next great thing for very simple reasons, because why would I want to when they're going to take it away anyways? When they're going to tax me 70 or 80% on what I'm making, I don't want to make that much. Doesn't make sense. This is, again, the whole system at work. And of course, this comes back down to the political system, which is totally broken, out of control. And we've got to stop the debt. That's what it comes down to. We've got to stop the overspending. You know what? Maybe we should cut down on some of all these special programs and all these people that are scamming the system, sitting home, collecting welfare because they make more money by sitting home collecting welfare than they do going out and get a job. In the meantime, we've got obviously lots of jobs available, but of course, there's a crossover of who's trained for what type of job. But at the end of it, okay, this is obviously a lot of problem and a lot that has to be solved. And of course, our politicians in Washington are more concerned with trying to take President Trump out than they are at fixing what's wrong with America. They're more interested in taking away from us by taxes and putting more in than making America better, okay? So you got to give it, again, you like him or hate him, I don't care, okay? He is truly trying to rock the boat and make America better by bringing things to the people versus putting it in the government's pockets. And I think that's something that we all have to think about. Again, you don't have to like him, you don't have to be a Republican, okay? But you should appreciate the fact that that our current president is more down the center than anything else, okay? And really trying to make things work. So you can look at it again, whichever way you want, and you can send me letters and say, I'm an idiot, whatever, I'm wrong. Look, that's America. We're entitled to our opinion. And certainly, in the 62 years that I've been around, I've seen nothing change in politics for the better. I've only seen politics change for the worse, because it should be that both parties should be somewhere down the center with some issues that push them left or right. Anyways, we'll be back with more of Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz right after the break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line with Todd Bubba Horwitz. What's up, everybody? Remember, hey, I've got some webinars in the can recorded. No time like now to get hedged or learn the futures market, and our futures portfolios are absolutely killing it. If you'd like to see a sample of the futures portfolios, I'll be happy to send you their status and their current workings for the last 2 years. You can see everything they've done. You can see the equity curve. You get a chance to look at it. All you got to do if you want to see that is email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com, as well as you can get the hedging and the futures webinar. And don't forget about our high school program, highschoolinvesting.com. If you want to help us out, go to Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me. Welcome back, everybody. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and of course, markets, no bad news, okay? And I think one of the things you have to learn when you're trading and when you're investing, okay, is that this is a perfect sign of a market that just wants to go higher. Again, we have said now going back to January 1st, we are not getting short this market. I may not like this market. I may think there's chances for it to go down. But in the meantime, there is no reason for me to want to short this market yet. There's no reason for me to be aggressive on either side of the market. So basically, it's what I say all the time. If you're an investor, you should be hedged. But even if you're not a hedged investor, you should be able to stay in the market through the duration, because at the end of the day, the new figures are now is the market goes up about 9% year over year, just not every year. So there's no reason to puke out. What you should be doing, instead of over leveraging your position in the market, is investing money that you're not going to need tomorrow, that you're not going to need for the car payment or the mortgage, and then you can afford to stay in the market, okay? Quit trying to outguess or outsmart the markets, because, of course, the market's always right. And right now, they're telling us that they're in a dull market drift, and they're trying to figure out a way to go higher. And certainly, we're going to stay long, which we have been every week for the whole year, and not get out, because there's no reason to get out, okay? So I think this is something that, you have to look at. Now, again, we've ignored bad producer price. We've ignored some manufacturing data. We've ignored many other pieces of bad news, manufacturing declines, okay? So with weak stuff, weak GDP, weak jobs, yet the markets continue to turn higher. So it shows you alone that right now, for today and for the foreseeable future, that the markets don't care about the potential bad news. They will continue to try to churn higher. And at the end of the day, that is the simple bottom line, that the markets right now want to go higher. So we saw, okay, through the week, we saw gold, okay, test some support, and pop up again. Now, gold should remain in this consolidation level. I don't see any reason that will change anytime soon. I think it will continue to work its way up. Longer term, we think gold is going higher. This year, we think there's a chance to hit 1,400. But the first thing it's got to do is hold 1,280. Second thing it's got to do is get over 1,350. So, but right now, it's a wide range, and I think it's actually a little bit narrow. I would actually say 1,280 to 1,320. I'd be watching. Oil, crude, we had to finally take unfortunately, our beating, okay? And this happens, and again, we don't apologize for it. We say clearly that we have a puke point, and we hit our puke point. Had to take it off. We're not kidding long oil. There's obviously something going on here. There's things going on with OPEC. There's things going on with other things. In the meantime, I think, based on what I'm seeing, this is an artificial BS rally. However, one thing we know for sure, we don't know how long the rally can last or how high it can go. So at this particular time, we will sit on the sidelines looking for another opportunity to make an entry. But for today, we are not going to do anything but watch and observe the markets, okay? Again, the dollar continues to be strong. It looks like it wants to go higher. Now, there was a little bit of pressure last week, but again, came right back down to support. And again, I tell you this each and every week, we think it's going to par. I think the commodities have priced it in. And I think that is indeed the overall issue. And of course, the meats look terrific. They continue to rally. And of course, we had a little talk of some hog smuggling and some stuff out of China. And of course, the Asian or African flu, whatever the heck it is. And of course, we were up limit on Friday in the hog market. But forget about the Friday move. We're talking going back to when we said that it'd be an opportunity to buy and that we would expect the lows to be potentially in. That's what we're looking at. In fact, I would venture to say that this rally right now is getting ready to end. Now, again, I'm not getting bearish and thinking we're going back down, but you would expect, based on the way we've gone up, to see a little bit of a pullback. You'd see a little bit of a pullback to support, which we will use again as another buying opportunity. As we said last Sunday, we felt grains had bottomed, and then grains did have a very good week, okay? Of course, you've got right now a pretty good battle going on in the grain markets. You've got the hedge funds that are massively short these products versus those who think that they should be higher. Okay, so the battle is who's going to win the battle, and I think, as usually happens, based on the action that we're watching today, okay, is that the hedge funds are going to lose. Okay, that's my opinion. Okay, I think that they're overdone to the short side. I think they've had their way, but I think when you start to see some new money, I think they will be forced to cover, and they will create a much bigger rally, and I think we'll see one massive dandy of a short squeeze at some point. You know, again, I can't time it, but I would say this to all of you. If you're a farmer or a producer, I'm storing mine. I'm obviously just buying futures, but if you can afford to store and you don't have to pay storage fees, I'm holding. I bought, I'm holding. I'm not selling. Okay, I can afford to hold these as a long-term investment for now, and that's indeed what I'm going to do. Okay, but again, you have to weigh the cost versus if you are actually paying for storage versus doing something else. Okay, so I think that's something that you have to look at in the big picture. Is where are you? Okay, and that's, again, if you're paying to store it, then it doesn't make sense. You might as well just sell it and take it along the board. Okay, now, okay, the bond market has been churning, and we've seen yields continue to fall. We've got a Fed meeting, I believe, this week. It could be next week, but whenever it is. Okay, I mean, they're so clueless anyways, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the whole central banking system is laughable, and we don't know what they're going to do. But right now, it looks to me that they're going to continue to remain dovish, which means that that's going to keep an underlying bid underneath the stock market, because cheap money keeps people investing into the market because there's no place else to go. Think about it, okay? You can't go to a bank. You can't go anywhere to get any yield. So basically, the money has got to go into the stock market. So that's why, until something changes, now again, the Fed will blow it. You know that as sure as you and I are talking on Sunday, March the 17th, the Fed will make the key mistake. The only question is when. So why should we try to overthink it now when we can just wait, because we'll have plenty of time to react okay? The biggest problem is when it comes time to react, people freeze and then keep praying that it's going to come back. Versus when you can identify a solid footprint saying, hey, the market is definitely going to go down now. You just, if you do get out and you do try to get out of your positions, then you just take your stuff off and you move on. Okay. Again, I still believe that for the most part, the average investor should not be worried about timing the market day to day. I think the average investor should understand that over time, the markets are going up 9% year over year. And that is really what it comes down to. And of course, the crypto world, they're holding up nicely. Again, you can say all you want, what a scam, what a bubble, what a bunch of crooks are. In the meantime, Bitcoin and the others have slowly ground up nicely, building some solid support along the bottom. And again, I will repeat this. We are not suggesting you go out and buy a lot of Bitcoin. What I'm telling you is we call this the dinner in a movie, the gambler's trade, whatever. You have a little bit of money that you want to fire around with and play with, I would put it into cryptocurrencies. But I would not, be clear, would not take any risk. In other words, if it was money I'm going to need tomorrow, okay, if it's money I can't afford to lose, I'm not buying any. But because I would go to Vegas and blow a couple thousand, I would certainly have no problem taking a couple of thousand and putting into the crypto world. I think it's still real. I think it's still going to be big. Now, again, it may be the wrong one, okay? But again, I'm willing for a small amount of money to take that risk. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. We're going to step by here for a break, and we will be right back with my commentary after the break. What's up, everybody? Listen, again, remember I've got my webinars that you can get the recordings to, and I've also want to share with you, if you're interested, my futures portfolios. It's almost like managed futures, but they're not managed futures. You manage them yourself. I give you our portfolio and what we're doing, and you get to make the choice from there. But you can check out what we're doing. If you want to see it, just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. And of course, don't forget about our high school investing program at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Certainly we could use your help. We want to keep it going, but it's a challenge because obviously we fund it all for all the high schools we're in. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Welcome back to Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz with you. And of course, every week I give you my little bit of commentary. And again, we had the big college cheating scandal this week. And I guess the first question I want to ask you is, they can date this scandal back to 2011 or whatever it was. Do we think this is the first time this has happened? Do we really think that this is the first time somebody got paid off? Okay. It's the first time somebody got caught. Okay. Again, it's a tragedy that we have come to this in our system where we have to pay because we want our kids to be in these fancy colleges because they're not good enough, because a smaller college or a community college is not good enough, because obviously the learning experience is much better at Harvard. Okay. Again, it's like Billy Ray Valentine and Winthrop. He's wearing my Harvard tie. Okay. In the meantime, okay. Again, it should not be allowed. Okay. Obviously, it has taken spots from other people, so it is a crime. Okay. But maybe there's a better way to have admissions into these schools. Maybe if they actually took the process and revamped the process so that we weren't getting screwed and ripped off for so many hundreds of thousands of dollars for anybody who wants to send their kids to school, maybe some of these things would stop, and it wouldn't create this whole new cottage industry of paying off coaches, paying off proctors, paying off all these people. Okay. And of course, a couple of movie stars paying $500,000 to send their kids to be on their rowing team, okay, that never rowed and don't want to go to college. Okay, so what's really happening is, of course, the average poor schmuck on the street, the middle class, gets screwed again because their kids don't get the same opportunity because we don't have $500,000 to give away to guarantee a spot for our child. And that's the bigger problem. But the bigger problem is the overall cost and the whole admitting system to begin with. Okay, what's happened at college is truly a tragedy and a criminal act almost at the numbers that you have to pay to send your kids to school. So again, I think that I'm glad they're going down. They deserve to go down, okay? Because again, they are cheating. But at the end of the day, it really comes back down to the system itself and how we fix the system to take out the cheaters. Everybody have a great weekend. As always, I thank you so much for being here. And of course, don't forget tonight, March Madness, the big draw. We'll have our picks during the weekend, of course, our bracket. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks so much. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz.